The brain is a very fascinating organ. If there's any organ in the human body that is constantly developing, growing, or even snapping off, that's the brain.
Despite developing the brain being the main focus, the main purpose of education, many of us working in schools know surprisingly little about how it functions.
The brain has got a lot of neurons. In fact, they say that if you take the neurons in the brain and tie it together, it will go around the earth, one round. Yeah? So that's how fascinating it is. And in terms of brain development, the human brain actually develops very rapidly in the first few months of life, as well as the first few years. So up to age 1, 2, 3, 4, there's a lot of development. Now, when you talk about brain development, you're talking about the number of neurons and the connectivity of neurons. Simply put, the brain has got different regions. Now, basically you have two different brain hemispheres. And in the hemispheres, you've got different regions. And each region of the brain is responsible for a particular function, either sensory function or perceptual function or a well-coordinated function of all. All right? Now, learning requires a lot of things. For example, you need to be able to see something, hear something, okay, and feel something and taste something and things like that. And when learning takes place, actually there is a physical change in the brain. And so different parts of the brain work together. And that is why in education they call it multi-sensory approach to teaching. Now, there's another part to it that you must never forget. You have 3 levels of the brain. The first level is the instinctual level. Instinct. You are hungry, you eat. You are sleepy, you are tired, you sleep. And so many other basic needs. And then you have the next level, which is the emotional level. And then you have the third level, which is reasoning, thinking, higher order thinking, problem solving, decision making. Right? So all these 3 layers or parts of the brain needs to work in synchrony together.
Just as our bodies grow and develop, so do all our organs, including the brain. But what can science tell us about how different stages of brain development affect our ability to learn, about how the learning environment impacts on that development, and about the implications for learning when this development goes wrong?
You use the word normal environment. Now, we have to define the word normal here. Normal simply means anything that will activate all the 3 parts of the brain equally well. No imbalance in this. For example, if a child does not get proper nutrition, you cannot expect him to be happy and to think clearly. At the same time, if a child has everything but does not have parental love, care and proper social environment, even that child will not think clearly. On the other hand, if a child has both basic needs met, good food, good environment in terms of facilities, and then also has good family background, but does not have the privilege and the opportunity to think creatively, then that part of the brain will not develop properly also, right? So normal in the sense that you have all that it takes to activate your brain equally well, in synchrony. What research has indicated is this: it doesn't matter if you belong to a good environment or poor environment, because you will see examples of many people from deprived environment, poor background, who have done very well in life. Why? Because if one thing is missing, the other things are there. For example, they have basic needs, they have some food at least, and they have parental support, the care, okay, and then they have opportunity to study. Even though it is just at minimal level, these people, because they make use of that minimal level opportunities that they get, they really shoot up. If you have that constant stimulation of the brain, then definitely the child's brain will develop in a very normal sense of the word, yes. And again, let's keep in mind, this can happen in any environment. Not necessarily in a very nice environment. Their focus is the physical setting. But what we must understand is that the brain does not just get stimulated by the physical setting. Yes, that is one part of it. But more importantly is the human touch to it. And the constant stimulation, the constant exposure to creative undertaking of different tasks. The child is stimulated in a very different way.
So, after having learnt about how brain development can occur differently in both environments and the different ingredients that are needed to make this work, what I wanted to do was help make a difference in the lives of slum children, which I eventually did when contacting the Human Development Foundation to begin working in their Mercy Center. During the first visit, I was shown around the Mercy Center by Kun John, but as I arranged to become a volunteer, I had then begun teaching English to a few teenage children, along with playing many activities with them as well. What I found out during the time that I spent there was that these children were very eager and motivated to learn. All they needed was for someone to teach them, someone to motivate them further, someone to help them learn from their environment in an effective way. In this case, I had taken up this role by teaching them English, but in reality, anyone can use their own strengths and take out time just once a week in order to help these children, in order to make a difference to their lives, in order to further develop their brain. So, does brain development actually make a difference?
Regardless of the environment, if the right ingredients are present within this environment, like for example the stimulation, the active exploration, discovery process, then the brain still develops norm. The brain is waiting to be tapped. The brain is waiting to be unleashed. It's up to you.
It's up to you to further motivate your child. It's up to you to make them realize the opportunities in their environment. And it's up to you to motivate those who need your help in order to develop the most important organ in the human body, known as the brain.